How did you get the business off the ground?
So I spent the first 25 years of my career in physical construction. So I worked for a company that built church facilities in the U.S. coast to coast. So for those not in the U.S., this was going to be maybe a hard number to grasp. But year over year, new religious construction industry is about $8 billion a year.
Whoa. Okay.
It's a massive market.
Wow.
There's 375,000 churches in America. So it's a huge market. Canada has like 18,000 churches. Australia has 13,000 churches, and U.S. has 375.
Wow. Okay.
So I came from the world of building buildings, not maintaining them. Well, I found myself in an awkward position between being unemployed and having to non-compete with that company that I couldn't go back into construction with church world. And yet my whole entire adult career had been working in that industry. All my contacts were in that industry. All my, influencers and whatnot were in that industry. So I decided to create this facility management kind of outsourcing company. We would provide facility management for churches. So I could still stay involved with the market I knew. I could still stay involved with the facilities, and it failed miserably. It was awful. And it was in 2008 and 2009, and there was this little thing called the recession here in the U.S., kind of thing.
Yep.
Here I am trying to start a business. I'm using my 401k that I rolled into a self-directed IRA to fund the business. It was my number one investor. It was my only investor, to which I just about bankrupted that investor. And my wife's like, "What are you doing with our retirement account?" But what came out of that was people were asking me, because I was selling it as, we'll provide facility management services and we'll have the software to help manage it for you. They said, "Yeah, we're not interested in your services, but the software I'd be interested." And at the time I was white labeling somebody else's product and trying to use it myself. And so I said, "You know what? How hard can this business be? Come on, it's only software."
Famous last words.
The only thing I know about software is that Microsoft put something on my computer in 1997 when I bought my first Acer computer. And that's all I know. It's kind of like a friend of mine who does engineering for HVAC. He goes, "There's only two things you need to know about HVAC. It sucks and it blows." And so software is somewhat the same thing. So I hired a development shop that was doing great work. I knew their clients, and so I hired them. Well, I didn't know the difference between SaaS and on-prem, because they were on-prem developers. So they did all of Krispy Kreme Donuts corporate stuff. They did all of the Barnes and Noble's kiosks around the United States. So that's the type of stuff they were developing for. And, "Hey, can you build me this?" And we took it to market when it sucked really bad. And I got like 60 people to buy it in the first 2 years.
Hey.
And so we were generating revenue before we ever went to beta.
Right.
Because I didn't know any better. I didn't know that there was an alpha and there was a minimal viable product. I went to market with an MVP is what I did and tried to sell it. Man, I bounced around between 2-3 different development agencies to try to get it done, try to use some offshore. All you blokes are hard to work with. But I used some Eastern European folks for a while, and they did better work than some of the other countries that I tried. But the language difference was so hard.
Yep.
Particularly, I don't know anything about software.
Yeah.
So in 2014, I looked at my wife and I said, we've been doing this now for 5 years. We've got 60, 70 subscribers. I was having to do consulting work myself to pay the bills because the company wasn't able to pay the bills.
Yep.
Either we're going to make a go of it or we're not. And so we both agree we're going to make a go of it. I hired my first full-time .NET developer here in the States, paid him more than I was paying myself. And we totally rewrote the software. At that time, I made all the customer service calls. I did all the sales demos. I did, you name it.
Mm-hmm.
I did bookkeeping. I did the banking. I tried to fire myself 3 or 4 times, and that didn't work out. But I did everything except for development. And up until about 5 years ago, we got up to about 5-6 people, and added a few, salesperson. My son Lee came on board and took over sales, and hired a couple customer support people to take over that piece of it, because that just drives me bat crap. But and so that's how we got started. Man, it's been a ride. It's hard to believe it's been 15 years now.
I'm really impressed that you took a kind of, well, not a hack together MVP, but certainly something that was very, very, very early, and were able to go out and sell it. I had a mentor once, so I'm a non-technical founder too, and I had a mentor who said, "Look, Ryan, like, you're not a coder, so what you need to do is treat coding as a last resort. Go out, get customers, get people to give you money, and then once you've sold it a few times, then you've got to go and actually figure out how to build it. And you probably need some late nights and weekends to be able to pull that together and get it done." But as stressful as that was, I actually think that's a much better way of doing things than a lot of technical founders who'll go and build something and then say, "How do I get customers for it?" And you see that question asked so many times. So yeah,
if you read Ash's book, right, and this is the 3rd edition. He's added a kind of a narrative story about a founder who tries to build something and then go find buyers for it. And he's coached, no, go out and find buyers and then build what they want, instead of you trying to build something you think that they want without knowing if it's something that they want. And we didn't do it to that extent, but I had the website built out first. I started writing ebooks and blogs. We have blogged every Tuesday since 2009.
Wow.
We're consistent with blogs. And I started blogging on the topic of taking care of your church building.
Yep.
And then I started getting momentum on people saying, oh, that's interesting. Tell me more about, this theory, this philosophy that you're trying to push here. And then it opened the door, because now all of a sudden I had some names that I could go after and say, hey, by the way, we've now created this piece of software. You want to try it? It was so inexpensive in 2009. It started at $39 a month. That it was low risk, and we had no contracts, and they could pay month to month and cancel whatever they want. And so it was easy for people to dip their toe into it, because I had built up a persona, at least, of being the subject matter expert in all things church facility management. Whatever your market is, how do you make yourself at least appear to be the subject matter expert? And the reality is, you probably are. I mean, I had a manager tell me once, when I was selling construction projects, he goes, I know you feel like you don't know everything you need to know, particularly when you're sitting in a room and there's an architect across from you, and a general contractor, an electrician, and you're supposed to be telling them how to build a building, and Tim, you were a music major in college. How are you going to tell them how to build a building? He goes, the reality is you probably still know more about the process of doing it than any of them do. So don't minimize yourself. Realize you probably are the smartest guy in the room on that individual topic at that particular moment in time.
Hey, it's Ryan here. If you like that video, please click the like and subscribe button somewhere down there, and check out the full interview right over here. Go on, click it. You know you want to.